Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One, by Drive. Joe Dispenza. Introduction. Imagine a young woman, maybe a little older than you, studying art in college. It's springtime, and like most students, she's dreaming of her summer break. But her dream isn't just about getting a typical summer job. She wants to work in Italy. She wants to learn, to explore, to visit at least 6 Italian cities, and spend a week in Florence with her friends. She wants to earn a good wage for the first half of the summer and then come home to relax for the rest of it. It's a beautiful dream, right? But it's also a long shot. The kind of thing you'd need thousands of dollars for, perfect timing, and a whole lot of luck. Her father, a man who studies the very nature of reality, gives her some unusual advice. He tells her, your job is to take care of the what, a greater mind will handle the how. He tells her that every single day, she needs to do more than just think about her trip. She needs to feel it. She needs to create the vision in her mind so clearly that her brain begins to believe it's already happened. He says, you can't get up from your mental creation as the same person who sat down. You have to get up as if you just had the most amazing summer of your life. So, she does. Every day, she closes her eyes and lives her Italian summer. She feels the sun, tastes the food, hears the language. She feels the gratitude of having lived this perfect adventure. A few weeks go by. She calls her dad. There's a summer course in Italy, but it costs $4,000. It's close, but it's not the dream. He gently reminds her to stick to her vision. To inhabit that trip. A few more weeks pass. She calls again, and this time, her voice is electric with excitement. She was in the library, chatting with her art history teacher in Italian. At that moment, her teacher remembers something. A colleague needs someone to teach beginners Italian to American students, in Italy, for the summer. The job would pay her. All expenses would be covered. It would take her to 6 different cities in Italy for 6 weeks. Her last week would be spent in Florence. And she would be home for the second half of the summer. Every single detail of her vision. It didn't just happen, it found her. The experience was drawn to her, not because she chased it, but because she had already become the person to whom it belonged. This isn't just a story about a lucky student. It's a story about a fundamental law of the universe. And it's the core promise of the book we're diving into today, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, by Drive. Joe Dispenza. This book isn't just a bestseller, it's a manual for a new way of living. It has sold millions of copies and has been translated into dozens of languages because it answers a question that sits deep inside all of us. Are we just living out a pre-written script, or do we have the power to create our own reality? Drive. Dispenza, a chiropractor and neuroscientist, didn't come to these ideas lightly. His own life was transformed by them after a devastating cycling accident. Doctors told him he'd likely never walk again without major surgery that could leave him in chronic pain. Instead, he chose to turn inward, to apply the principles of the mind-body connection to heal himself. And it worked. From that experience, he dedicated his life to understanding the science behind these transformations. So, for the next hour or so, I'm going to be your guide through his most powerful ideas. We're not just going to talk about changing a few habits. We're going to explore the science that shows how you can break the single greatest habit of all, the habit of being yourself. And by the end of our time together, you'll understand how to stop being a product of your past and start being the architect of your future. Book summary. Let's start with a question that might sound a little strange. What are you made of? If you think back to your science classes, you might say cells, which are made of molecules, which are made of atoms. And for a long, long time, we thought of atoms as tiny, solid little balls, like super small billiard balls. This was the world of classical physics, the world of Sir Isaac Newton. It was a world that worked like a machine. Predictable, orderly. A world where if A happens, then B will always follow. And in this mechanical universe, we humans didn't seem to have much influence. We were more like victims of cause and effect than creators of it. Our thoughts? Well, they were just thoughts. Fluffy, invisible things with no real impact on the solid, material world. But then, a man named Albert Einstein came along and completely rocked the boat. He showed us with his famous equation, $E = mc², that energy and matter are two sides of the same coin. They are interchangeable. This was the beginning of a revolution in our understanding of reality. This was the birth of quantum physics. And here's what the quantum physicists discovered. That tiny, solid atom? It's not solid at all. In fact, an atom is 99.99999% energy and only 0.0001% physical substance. To put that into perspective, you are more nothing than something. Everything you see around you, this chair, this table, your own body, is almost entirely empty space, a vast, invisible field of energy. So if everything is energy, why does it feel so solid? And more importantly, what does this have to do with you creating your life? This is where it gets truly fascinating. In the quantum world, the world of energy, things don't behave like they do in our big clunky world. An electron, one of the building blocks of that atom, doesn't exist in one single place. It exists as a wave of infinite possibilities. It is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Until someone looks at it. That's right. The moment an observer, you or me, focuses their attention on any one location, that wave of possibilities collapses into a single particle, a physical event. This is called the observer effect. It means that your mind, your consciousness, has a direct effect on the material world. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Your thoughts are not just fluffy, invisible things. They are the very language that speaks to this field of energy, telling it what to become. Think about what this means. If every potential reality already exists as a wave of possibility in the quantum field, then there is a version of reality where you are healthy, wealthy, happy, and living the life of your dreams. That reality is not something you have to create out of thin air. It already exists. It's just waiting for an observer. It's waiting for you. So, how do we communicate with this quantum field? Drive. Dispenza gives us a beautiful model. He says to think of your thoughts as the electrical charge you send out into the field, and your feelings as the magnetic charge you send out. Your thoughts are the signal you broadcast. Your feelings are what magnetically draw the events back to you. Together, how you think and how you feel produces a state of being, which generates a unique electromagnetic signature. That signature is what you are constantly broadcasting to the universe, consciously or unconsciously. And the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. Have you ever tried to think positively? You might say to yourself, I am wealthy, but deep down, you feel poor. You feel lack. You feel worry. You're thinking one way, but feeling another. Your thoughts are the language of the brain, but feelings are the language of the body. And when the mind and body are in opposition, you're sending out an incoherent, mixed signal. It's like trying to listen to two different radio stations at once. All you get is static. The quantum field only responds with consistency when your thoughts and feelings are aligned. When your mind and body are working together. When you have a clear intention, a thought combined with an elevated emotion, a feeling. That is what creates a new state of being. And that new state of being is what creates a new reality. This is the shift from the old Newtonian model of cause and effect, to the quantum model of causing and effect. In the old model, you wait for something outside of you to change how you feel inside. You wait to win the lottery to feel abundant. You wait to get the promotion to feel successful. You wait for the new relationship to feel loved. You are a victim of your external world. But in the new model, you change your internal world, your thoughts and your feelings, first. You teach your body emotionally what it would feel like to be abundant before the wealth shows up. You feel worthy and loved before the relationship arrives. You feel gratitude as if your prayers have already been answered. When you do this, you are no longer a victim of your reality. You are its creator. You are broadcasting a new electromagnetic signature into the field. And because every potential already exists, when your signature matches the signature of a reality you desire, your body will be drawn to that event, or that event will find you. This is exactly what happened to Drive, Dispenza's daughter. She didn't just think about Italy. She felt it. She lived in a state of gratitude for a future that hadn't happened yet. Her state of being broadcast a powerful, coherent signal, and the quantum field orchestrated an event that matched it perfectly, in a way she could never have predicted. That's the beauty of it. When you create from the quantum field, the outcome should surprise you. It should be unexpected. If you can predict it, it's nothing new. It's just the old you, creating the same old outcomes. The real magic happens when you hold a clear intention of what you want, but you leave the how up to that greater, universal mind. You trust. You surrender. You let go. And you begin to see that you are not just a physical body living a linear life. You are a consciousness, a mindful matter, connected to a vast, intelligent, and loving field of information that is waiting for you to wake up and remember the power you've had all along. So if this is all true, if we have this incredible power to create our reality, why are so many of us stuck? Why do we wake up every day, think the same thoughts, perform the same actions, feel the same emotions, and secretly wonder why our lives aren't changing? This is where we get to the heart of the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Drive. Dispenza explains that most of us are trapped by what he calls the big three: our environment, our body, and time. Let's start with the environment. Your brain is a record of your past. Every person you've known, every place you've been, every experience you've had is stored in the synaptic connections of your brain. So, what happens when you wake up in the morning? You open your eyes and see your familiar bedroom. You see the person lying next to you. You hear the same sounds outside. Your senses immediately plug you back into your external environment. And because your brain is organized to reflect everything you know in your environment causes you to think in familiar ways. You think the same thoughts as yesterday. These thoughts lead to the same choices. The same choices lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors create the same experiences. And the same experiences produce the same emotions. And those emotions, in turn, influence you to think the same thoughts. You are caught in a feedback loop. Your internal world is a perfect match for your external world. And as long as you allow your outer world to control your inner world, you will keep creating more of the same. To change, you must think and feel greater than your environment. There's a principle in neuroscience called Hebb's law: nerve cells that fire together, wire together. Every time you think a thought, you activate a neural circuit. If you keep thinking that same thought over and over, that circuit becomes stronger, more hardwired. It becomes an automatic habit of thinking. You become, quite literally, wired to your past. This brings us to the second trap: the body. Remember our discussion about thoughts and feelings? Every time you have a thought, your brain produces chemicals. Those chemicals act as messengers, telling your body how to feel. If you think an angry thought, you start to feel angry. If you think a grateful thought, you start to feel grateful. But here's the twist. The brain is constantly monitoring how the body feels. So, once you start to feel angry, your brain starts generating more thoughts that match that feeling of anger. You begin to think the way you feel. This is the cycle of thinking and feeling. Thoughts create feelings, and feelings create thoughts. Over time, this cycle creates a state of being. If for 20 years you have practiced feeling guilty, or anxious, or unworthy, you've conditioned your body to live in that chemical state. Your body has memorized that emotion. It has become the subconscious mind. And here's the crucial part. Psychologists tell us that by the time we're in our mid-30s, about 95% of who we are is a set of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, and subconscious programs. This means for 95% of your day, your conscious mind isn't in charge. Your body is. It's running on autopilot. You might consciously want to be happy, but your body has been programmed for suffering. The 5% of your mind that is conscious is fighting a battle against the 95% that is the subconscious body-mind. This is why positive thinking alone so often fails. You're trying to think one way, but your body, your state of being, is the complete opposite. It's like the servant has become the master. Your body has become addicted to its familiar chemical state. Imagine you decide, today, I'm not going to feel guilty anymore. For a couple of hours, you feel great. But your body's cells, which have been bathed in the chemicals of guilt for years, start to notice something is missing. They send an urgent message up to the brain. And suddenly, you start hearing a little voice in your head. You can start tomorrow. This doesn't feel right. Remember that thing you did 10 years ago? You should feel bad about that. That's your body talking you back into your old, familiar state. It wants its chemical fix. And most of the time, we give in. We return to the habit of being ourselves. To truly change, you must think greater than how you feel. You have to unmemorize that emotion and recondition your body to a new mind. This leads us to the final trap, time. Most of us live our lives with one foot in the past and one foot in the future. We are either reliving past memories, which trigger the same old emotions, or we are anticipating a predictable future, which is usually just a projection of our past. We are rarely ever in the present moment. But the present moment is where all the magic happens. It's the only place where you can access the quantum field. When your mind is in the past or the future, you don't have access to all those infinite possibilities. So, when you live in a state of survival, driven by the stress hormones of fight or flight, your attention is always fixated on the big three. You're worried about your body. How do I survive? Your environment, where's the danger? And time, how much time do I have to escape? In survival, you are a somebody. Your identity is wrapped up in your body, the people you know, the things you own, and the problems you have. You are a materialist, defining reality with your senses. You are completely disconnected from the 99.9% of reality that is energy and possibility. But when you are in a state of creation, something remarkable happens. Think about a time you were completely absorbed in something you loved, playing music, writing, having a great conversation. What happened to your sense of self? It disappeared. You forgot about your body. Your environment faded away. Time seemed to vanish. In those moments, you became a nobody. No body, no thing, no time. You became pure consciousness. This is the secret. You cannot enter the quantum field as a somebody. You have to leave your ego, your identity, your problems at the door. You have to enter as a nobody, as pure awareness. This is the state of creation. It's where you are no longer a victim of the big three, but their master. And this is the state you learn to access through meditation. So, how do we do it? How do we move from thinking, to doing, to finally being this new person? Drive. Dispenza tells us we have, in effect, 3 brains to help us on this journey. First, there's the neocortex, your thinking brain. This is where you learn new knowledge and contemplate new possibilities. It's the architect that designs the blueprint for your new self. Second, there's the limbic brain, your emotional brain. When you take the knowledge from your thinking brain and apply it, when you have a new experience, this is the brain that produces the chemicals that create a new emotion. It teaches your body what your mind has intellectually learned. And third, there's the cerebellum, the seat of your subconscious mind. When you practice something so many times that it becomes automatic, second nature, this is the brain that stores that skill as a habit. This is where you move into a state of being. Normally, we learn by progressing from thinking, to doing, to being. You think about how to drive a car, you practice doing it, and eventually you are a driver. But here is the great gift of being human. We have the ability to go directly from thinking to being. Through mental rehearsal, through meditation, you can have an experience in your mind that is so real, your body begins to believe it has already happened. The thought becomes the experience. And the end product of that experience is an emotion. When you can feel the emotion of a future event before it happens, your body, as the unconscious mind, starts to make changes. Your brain rewires itself. It installs the neurological hardware to look like the experience has already occurred. Your body makes new proteins. It signals new genes in new ways. You are biologically changing to become your new self. This isn't just a theory. In one study, people who mentally rehearsed one-handed piano exercises for 2 hours a day showed almost the same brain changes as people who physically practiced on a piano. Their brains literally changed, ahead of the physical experience. This is what you do in meditation. You get beyond your analytical mind, which keeps you trapped in beta brainwave states, thinking about your problems. You learn to slow your brain waves down, into alpha and theta. This is the doorway to your subconscious operating system. In this state, you first unlearn. You become familiar with the old self. You observe your automatic thoughts, your habitual behaviors, your memorized emotions, without judgment. And by observing them, you are no longer the program. You are the consciousness observing the program. And you begin to unwire those old connections. Nerve cells that no longer fire together, no longer wire together. Then, you create. You ask yourself, what is the greatest ideal of myself I can be? You contemplate this new self so deeply that the thought becomes the experience. You feel the emotions of this new person: joy, gratitude, freedom, love. You teach your body what this new future feels like. You recondition your body to a new mind. You do this over and over, every day. You go from thinking about it, to doing it in your mind, until finally, you are it. It becomes your new state of being. And when your state of being changes, your personality changes. And remember the most important mantra of this entire book: your personality creates your personal reality. A new personality creates a new personal reality. When you get up from your meditation, you can't be the same person who sat down. You have been neurologically, chemically, and genetically altered. You are literally someone else. And as this new person, you will be more prone to think and act in ways that are equal to who you are now being. This is the point of demonstration. You have to live your day as if your prayers have already been answered. You have to maintain that modified state of mind and body, independent of your environment. You can't meditate for 30 minutes as a person of abundance, and then spend the rest of the day complaining about how broke you are. Your behaviors must match your intentions. When you do this, when your inner world and your outer actions are aligned, your new personal reality must manifest. It is the law. And it will show up in ways that are unexpected, surprising, and leave no doubt that they came from a higher, universal intelligence, inspiring you to do it all over again. This is the journey. Breaking the habit of being yourself is not about fighting who you are. It's about becoming so familiar with your old self that you can make new choices. It's about letting go of the lie that you are just a somebody, defined by your past, and embracing the truth that you are a nobody, a pure consciousness with access to an infinite field of possibility. It's about closing the gap between who you appear to be and who you truly are. And in that process, liberating the energy you need to step into the greatest version of yourself and create the life you were always meant to live. Commentary. As we wrap up our journey through breaking the habit of being yourself, I want to take a moment to reflect on what I believe is the most powerful and transformative idea in this entire book. It's a simple shift in perspective, but it changes everything. For most of our lives, we operate under the assumption of cause and effect. We believe something outside of us has to happen for us to feel a certain way. We need a reason to be happy. We need a reason to feel grateful. We wait for the world to give us permission to feel good. Drive. Dispenza invites us to flip that model on its head. He asks us to move from cause and effect to causing an effect. To generate the feeling of joy, of abundance, of wholeness from within, before the evidence shows up in our external reality. This isn't just a mental trick. It's a biological and quantum reality. When you generate an elevated emotion by choice, you are literally changing your body's chemistry. You are sending new signals to your genes. You are broadcasting a new electromagnetic signature into the quantum field. You are becoming the person to whom the future you desire already belongs. This is the essence of true empowerment. It's the realization that you are not at the mercy of your environment, your genetics, or your past. At any moment, you can make a decision to think, feel, and act differently. You can decide to stop being your old self. Of course, knowing this and doing it are two different things. The body, with its memorized addictions to familiar emotions, will fight you. The analytical mind will tell you it's nonsense. Your environment will try to pull you back into old patterns. That's why the meditative process drive Dispenza outlines is so crucial. It's the daily practice of getting beyond the body, beyond the environment, and beyond time, to connect with something greater. If you're feeling inspired to put these ideas into practice, here are a few simple actions you can take, starting today. First, just become aware. For the next 24 hours, try to notice one automatic, unconscious thought or feeling you have. Maybe it's a flash of judgment when you're in traffic, a feeling of anxiety when you check your email, or the habit of complaining about something. You don't have to change it. Just observe it. The act of observing is the first step in taking your power back. It's moving from being the program to being the consciousness that is aware of the program. Second, ask yourself a new question. When you wake up in the morning, before you do anything else, ask yourself, what is the greatest ideal of myself I can be today? Just hold that question in your mind for a minute. You don't need to have a perfect answer. The question itself begins to turn on your frontal lobe, your creative brain, and points your mind in the direction of possibility instead of predictability. And finally, practice gratitude for your future. Take just 2 minutes to feel the emotions of a future you desire, as if it has already happened. What would it feel like to have that new job? To be in that healthy relationship? To be free from your pain? Don't just think about it. Generate the feeling in your heart. This is the language the universe understands. That was a summary of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Drive. Joe Dispenza. We've explored the core principles today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only scratch the surface. The real transformation happens when you engage with the book directly. It's in the quiet moments of reading, when a particular story or a simple concept clicks into place in a way you didn't expect. This summary is meant to be a map, to help you decide if this journey is one you want to take. If anything we've discussed today has sparked something within you, I encourage you to grab a copy of the book. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can fundamentally change the way you see yourself and the world around you. A link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets us know we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.